Cate Blanchett has taken on a role far beyond that of an acclaimed actor. She has emerged as a vocal champion for filmmakers whose careers and creative visions have been disrupted or derailed by displacement, violence, war, and systemic injustice. In a wide-ranging conversation about her work with displaced creatives, Blanchett revealed how the initiative she launched has become both a lifeline and a bold statement about the power and necessity of storytelling that confronts human suffering in its most harrowing forms. More than just a prestigious figurehead stepping onto festival stages, Blanchett has been deeply involved in fostering an ambitiously humanitarian project she helped launch at a major international film festival. This project, known as the Displacement Film Fund, was created to identify, support, and uplift filmmakers who have experienced displacement firsthand or whose work powerfully explores the lived realities of forced displacement. Rather than a token gesture, the fund represents Blanchett's belief that cinema has a moral and artistic obligation to give voice to stories emerging from the most challenging global contexts. As the first beneficiaries of the Displacement Film Fund prepared to show their work, Blanchett spoke passionately about what the initiative means to her and why it matters so profoundly. These short films, made by directors from countries affected by conflict, political turmoil, and exile, are slated to be shown at a prestigious festival in the Netherlands. Blanchett described the collection of films as the first tangible fruits of a year's work, and she made clear that this moment is a celebration not just of her vision but of the determination and resilience of the filmmakers themselves. When discussing the films, Blanchett explained that they are deeply personal and heartbreaking, but also infused with elements of absurdity, resilience, and a distinct creative spark that emerges from circumstances most people rarely confront. She spoke of the diversity of perspectives represented, noting that the experiences of displacement are far from monolithic. Instead, these films reveal how individuals navigate the chaos of exile with a blend of vulnerability, strength, humor, sorrow, and fierce determination. Blanchett's own journey with the Displacement Film Fund began with a recognition of a broader problem in the film industry: the chronic sidelining of voices that do not align with mainstream narratives, especially those shaped by political upheaval and forced migration. She pointed out that decision-makers within cultural industries often default to stories that feel safe, easily digestible, or commercially reliable. In doing so, they inadvertently perpetuate a narrow view of the world, one that excludes the perspectives of those who have been displaced, uprooted, or otherwise marginalized. To Blanchett, this exclusion is not only an artistic loss but also a moral failure. She used the phrase "flagrant inhumanity" to describe how powerful individuals and systems around the world have sought to cement their legacies through force and oppression, exacerbating displacement and suffering in the process. Such inhumanity, she argued, contributes to an environment where entire communities are driven from their homes, cultures are destabilized, and the creative voices shaped in these contexts struggle to find platforms or resources to tell their stories. In her view, recognizing and engaging with these displaced perspectives is not a fringe concern. It is essential for a healthy, vibrant, and relevant film industry. The inclusion of voices from displaced filmmakers, she believes, enriches the narrative landscape of cinema, challenges audiences to confront uncomfortable realities, and bridges cultural gaps that might otherwise remain unexamined. For Blanchett, cinema is uniquely positioned to translate individual experiences of suffering and resilience into universally resonant art. Throughout her discussion, she emphasized the urgency of this work, both in terms of creative representation and in practical terms of funding and support. Blanchett praised the partners and organizations that have stood behind the Displacement Film Fund, describing their involvement as crucial not only for the success of the current projects but also for laying a foundation that future cohorts of filmmakers can build upon. The selection process for the first round of funded films was rigorous and collaborative. Blanchett served on a committee alongside a diverse group of artists, festival directors, and activists who brought a wide range of cultural and professional backgrounds to the table. Their shared commitment was to identify projects that not only tackled the theme of displacement with honesty and depth but also exhibited distinctive artistic voices worthy of global attention. Blanchett spoke with admiration about her fellow selection committee members. She noted that while each person came from a different place, culturally, geographically, and artistically, they were united by a profound understanding that displacement is not an abstract concept but a lived reality for millions of people. Their conversations, she said, were not merely administrative but deeply human, informed by personal reflections on how stories of exile, loss, and adaptation shape our collective consciousness. For many of the filmmakers chosen for the fund, displacement was not just a thematic concern but a lived experience. Blanchett stressed that this gave their work an authenticity and urgency that could not be replicated by outsiders.